Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to another Friday night sit down podcast. And today, what is our topic today? I can't remember. I have my notes here. Today's topic is going to be, so we kind of went over this before, and I found it to be a very interesting topic. But it's not exactly the same thing. It's slightly different. A lot of our topics are going to overlap each other. If you guys have not been to our podcasts before, we like to do our podcast on a Friday night. Hopefully we actually get it out to you by Friday night. If not, we would be doing a live. So welcome to the channel if you have not been here before. And so we're going to do what most people think keeps marriages strong. Okay. So we're exploring common misconceptions about that. And So I know a lot of you think that it's love and communication, but I'm going to say it's not that. It's something even more powerful than love and communication. So we are going to be jumping in to what is going to keep your marriage strong, okay?
It's not what you think.
It's not what you think. Okay, so what do most people think keeps marriages strong? What do you think the answer to that is, Nick?
Well, when it comes to marriage, I think a lot of people will go with communication,
Love. And that was an argument in one of our previous podcasts.
So,
I was arguing that it wasn't love, but then you were arguing something else. So we've kind of done a little bit of our research here.
So I'll say love and communication for me is, I think it would be two of the bigger ones
That keep the marriages strong.
that keep marriages strong.
Okay. So Nick says love and communication. Now, before we get started, I just want to make a disclaimer. We are not experts here, so we by no means claim to be an expert in this area, but we do have a strong and solid marriage. We've been together for a very long time, married for a very long time, and we feel like we have kind of tapped into what works, okay? So that is why we like to have these discussions and share our thoughts. So I'm just dibbling and dabbling. Don't mind me. I'm just kind of going over our notes a little bit.
And if one person could get something from the whole podcast, it's still a win. So
yeah, it's still a win.
I mean, it's we're sharing some of our life with you guys on what we do and how we do things and what worked for us and what doesn't work. So if we speak on something that worked for us but doesn't work for you guys, just let us know in the comment and share what works for you guys so we could all learn from each other. So
Perfect. So the whole purpose of talking, of course, with each other, we want to keep a dialogue down in the comment section, is so that we can learn from each other, because there is no perfect answer. Nobody made either of us or any of us, you or us, perfect. So we definitely can learn about these topics from each other. Love is important, but of course, love alone won't sustain the marriage, right? So communication is also vital, but believe it or not, communication also will not sustain the marriage, okay? Communication alone will not sustain the marriage, okay? Because talking doesn't always fix the problem, right? We can go over something, and we've had this issue, right?
yeah.
We go over something over and over and over again. We're open and honest with each other, but it doesn't necessarily fix the problem, right?
Well, it resolves some issue, but I don't think, like, a lot of time the root cause is not completely eroded. It's like putting a Band-Aid on a deep wound without properly caring for that wound. So Does it help? Yes, but does it eliminate the whole issue and problem at times? I don't think so. So yeah, but but we all know communication is key in a relationship too. It's a key component too.
Hmm.
But communication. So I guess what I'm trying to say, communication by itself doesn't resolve everything.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
but and what did I say? Love, also love. I mean, um, love can't. I don't think love
Love
will
alone.
stand by itself in a
Yes.
relationship, and keep you guys together or keep the relationship going forever. So
This may be a different topics, but I think a lot of people don't even really understand the true meaning of what love actually is. So a lot of people are quick to say "I love you,"
yeah,
but they don't understand what love entails. And this is probably like a whole nother
and that's
topic.
a whole different topic. So, but we're touching on all
The little key areas.
that. Yeah,
Okay, so physical intimacy matters, but unfortunately, sometimes passion will fade. So that
yeah,
is not the answer as well. And especially if something
yeah. I
deeper is
mean,
missing,
it's it's.
passion definitely
I
will
mean,
fade.
a relationship that's solely based on intimacy is kind of. I mean, obviously that's not gonna last. I don't think that could survive. So,
No, because we know
yeah,
that in the worldly world
because
out there, that happens, right? It doesn't mean that a couple will stay together.
yeah, and I mean, intimacy intimacy is only for a short period of time. So you're happy for what, a short period of time, and then you're miserable the whole time. So I don't think that would. I don't think that would last.
What about financial stability? Because there's obviously a lot of wealthy people out there that are married, and we hear it all the time that they get divorces too. So, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, financial support
It's good.
is wonderful because I mean, like, who doesn't like to just be able to buy something that they want or afford whatever they desire, right? But I mean, like I said, I hate to sound like a broken record, but that goes but so far. And then what? It's always what after. Okay, so what's
What's
next?
next?
You know what I
Yes.
mean? So it's that by itself can't stand alone either.
That can't stand alone.
So I mean,
So, the key takeaway basically is that there's so many external factors that, that people forget,
yeah,
you know, that there is a deeper function to. So there's all these things that we think, okay, this will help and this will help. They might collectively be, obviously, they're a part of the marriage, right?
yeah,
But there's always a deeper function that is actually the key factor to keeping your marriage together, believe it or not.
yeah. And I think, like you said, those outside factors, those to me, those are even bigger things compared to what I think, in my opinion, what it takes
So
to make a
the
marriage.
deeper foundation, the
Yeah,
external.
to make no. What I'm saying is
Uh-huh.
those external factors are greater. To me, they're greater. They're a larger part of what you need to do to sustain a relationship. To sustain a relationship is much easier than to do all of that, those external factors, if that makes sense. You get what I'm saying? So what I'm trying to say
I
is,
would think the foundational part is the larger portion.
yeah, but what I'm trying to say is, to make your relationship last is easier than what we think.
Okay. So I think
You get what I'm saying?
we did that a few weeks ago. We
Yeah.
did the topic that
So
sustaining your marriage is easier than what you think,
yeah, because
right?
all those external factors are stuff you got to go outside your way sometimes to accomplish. You know what I mean? You exert yourself a lot of
So the
times to get those.
financials,
Yes,
the
you're
intimacy,
you're
the
gonna go. It takes a lot out of you to do that.
Okay,
You know what I
I
mean?
see what
So
you're saying there.
so but yeah, and I think a lot of people a lot of people think if they hit all those wickets that they should have a solid um, marriage or relationship or whatever it is, and when it doesn't work out, you question yourself and you ask yourself why. I did that, and it didn't work.
Yeah, I gave her the house. I gave her the
But
car.
but I mean,
I gave her time with me personally.
yeah.
We spoke. We had
But it's
discussions.
those little things, the little things that you didn't do,
Yes,
the little
yes, the
thing,
foundational
the
parts.
little thing that you didn't do that becomes a big thing. So it's not always just going for the big play, so to speak. You know what I mean? So yeah, but that's
So
what I think.
let's hit some of the foundational parts. Let's talk about what the key foundational parts are. Okay. So I distinctly remember talking about some of these things and we went back and forth about it.
Mm.
And it wasn't that either of us were wrong or either of us were necessarily dead on right. I think there was like a little bit of everything there. So I think we have come to conclude that selflessness is one of the key factors. So if you are experiencing problems in your marriage, it is more than likely that there is a major issue with being selfish. So either both of you or one of you has a major issue, and it's likely a little bit of both. It may be more one than the other, but it's likely a little bit of both, are having an issue with being selfish. And I know it's easy to point fingers, but sometimes you really have to sit down and explore exactly what you're doing. So selfishness can come in many different ways, and it can be very subtle. Sometimes you don't even think about how subtle. It could just be as simple as, and we've all done it. I've done it. I'm tired. Don't bother me. Because I'm so tired. Don't bother me.
Mm.
So even that, in a tired state, sometimes we're not really thinking too well. So we can come off as being selfish. However, I think it's important that even when we make those little mistakes to catch it and be apologetic and try to kind of readjust. Because even if you're coming out of your sleep and you're snapping, that there's probably a deeper issue with you personally if you're snapping out of your sleep, right?
But to what you're saying, I think I think what you're trying to say is it's better to be selfless than to be selfish. You know, and that goes a long way in a relationship. Because I mean, just doing act of kindness, is easy to it. That's what I was talking about earlier. Those are little things that
And those are
strengthen.
foundational
Yeah,
things.
those are core things, right? Foundational core things that helps your relationship, strengthen your relationship, right? So just doing little things, like listening,
What kind
doing
of things
favors.
what kind of things do you think, like, for us? What kind of things can you think of that are acts you may not even really want to do? Now this is a real like opening cans of worms, but it's okay because like I'm a grown up. I can understand. There's sometimes you don't want to
No,
do things,
I think
but you do it
I
anyways,
think
right?
I think when you say selfless, when a
Give an
person
example.
when a
Something
person
you
is
do.
when a person is selfless, I mean, like, it's the willingness to pick up the slack when you see need fit, when the other person is can't go or
But give
doesn't
me
have the
like
energy,
a
or
distinct
I'm
example.
getting
Okay.
there.
I'm
When
sorry.
the person doesn't have the energy or the strength to do it, like if I come in the house and you're you need to go somewhere, you need to take, for example, you need to take kids somewhere, whatever, but you've been running all day, and you had it in your mind, you wanted to do it or whatever, it's on your list to do, right? But me coming in, and I'm working too. I'm tired too, but just seeing that you're overexerted yourself for the day or whatever, then I'll just jump in and be like, I got it. I'll take care of it or whatever. Just little things like that, and I think stuff like that goes a long way because you're helping out and you're being selfless. So that's just one example of just showing your appreciation for that person. So there's a lot of things by doing that one act of service for that person shows a lot of different. It touches a lot of different areas. So
And for me, I would definitely say one area that I struggle with. Nick likes a lot of pampering. So sometimes because I'm very, very busy, my schedule is compact. And sometimes I think when we do these sit downs, it kind of makes me rehearse some of the things that maybe I need to continue to work on. But as I go through my day, sometimes I'm like, okay, I haven't done this for Nick in a long time. It may be as much as, you know, you want a little pampering. Like, I know you like to have pedicures or manicures or like a head rub or a back rub,
oh
things
yeah,
like that.
just say header but back up the manicure and pedicure. You're
No,
it
but
didn't have to
no,
go
but
first.
okay. So I wouldn't say the manicure. Actually, let's drop the manicure. But you do like the pedicure part, right? I mean, you're a man, and
Yeah, we'll do the pedicure, not the manicure.
he has different. He has
You know,
he's actually got feet that are not so bad for a man.
she misspoke on that one, guys.
Yeah, I did misspeak on the manicure part, but there's nothing wrong with men getting a manicure.
No, absolutely not.
But he does like he does like the pampering. He likes that kind of touch stuff. So
Oh, we went together. Well, we went together before and got our feet.
yeah, you haven't gotten your you haven't gotten your
Feet
hands done. There's nothing. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but some people would argue that I'm demasculinating when I talk about pedicures. Manicures. But I don't think there's anything wrong with getting your nails clipped. And you've actually asked me to do that before in the past, your nails. So that's a manicure.
Yeah, I guess so.
I'm just kind of iffy about the hands because I know if I clip mine the wrong way, anyways, that's a whole nother topic. I hate that. So that is one thing. And then sometimes Nick needs me to do a quick chore for him and I'm exhausted. And he knows that I'm not very good when I'm tired. I'm very grumpy. So I need my sleep. I'm not a very, very early morning person. And I'm not a late night person. So sometimes doing these sit downs, actually, it looks like it's harder for him sometimes than it is for me. Because I amp myself to get it done because I want to be consistent. So it's easier for me to do that. But anyways, getting those kind of things done is sometimes hard for me. But then I have to tell myself that my husband is a gift. He's a gift from God. And I need to just be thankful that he has life and that he is here. And sometimes those are the things that motivate me to get things done for him. So being selfless, coming out of my sleep and getting up and just actually getting it done. Mm-hmm. So one thing I just want to emphasize is as you are being selfless, foundationally, you're growing together, right? So it's the act of pouring in to the other. So I pour into you. I pour into your cup, and you pour into my cup, and it's a continual pouring back and forth. And that helps us to keep going. So Nick is in school, and he recently graduated. Congratulations to you, babe. And he is furthering his education once again. It's been rough. It really has. It's been very hard to have to cope with all of that. Sometimes not having him as readily as I'd like to have him. Even for the little things, I just feel single in those moments because he's very good at participating for the most part. So that's been very hard. So that is even an act of being selfless when I'm allowing him to do the things that he needs to do that make him feel better and allow him to help take care of our family in a more productive way, right?
Yeah. So I mean, it's it's one of them things where just like you said earlier, like you said, it's just growth, right? And every day you're working in growth. Every day you're working in
We're
growth. Every
choosing
day,
each other.
yeah. Every day you're working
I
and get.
choose you, you choose
Every
me.
day you're working and
Every day.
every day you're working and getting better. You're getting better, getting better, getting better, getting better, and knowing each other, knowing each other, knowing each other, knowing each
Choosing
other.
to make each
You
other a
know, you know.
priority.
So, yeah. So I think that's what it is.
Okay, so okay, here's something for you guys. This is a concept that we always talk about. So we have listened to podcasts in the past, arguments in the past, live discussions in the past about how people view marriages. And I know people are like, well, it's 50-50. So we counter argue that statement of 50-50. We always like to say, what is it, Nick? Is it 50-50?
No, I always rebuttal that with 100. There's no way there's a 50-50 in a marriage. There's no way. It's not a marriage. If you're going 50-50, it's not a marriage. That's your friend. That's your roommate. That's somebody you're.
Encountering on the street, an
Yeah,
acquaintance,
it's not.
potentially,
That's not.
maybe.
That's not your life partner, man. That can't be like, cause
So if you're only giving 50% of yourself to the other person, you're not giving everything.
exactly, and not only in that aspect, but also 50-50 as monetary wise too, right? That's not being that's not being selfless. That's not being kind. That's not being generous. That's not looking out for your partner. You know what I mean? So, and I think that 50-50 stuff kind of breeds tension between each other because, for example, if say we're going 50-50 on the rent or mortgage or whatever, ice cream, food, whatever, right? So every month I got to come up with my 50%, right? So if one month I'm short, right, then the other person chips in, right, and said, okay, you're short. Another month I'm short again. Then now it's becoming a problem. You know what I mean? And now we're having now that's an unwanted problem in a relationship. So that's the reason why I say I don't agree with no with 50-50 because that's it just to me doesn't make sense.
So not just 50-50 financially, but just 50-50 overall. So
And that's just one
it can't
example
it can't
of monetary wise,
yeah. There's other
but there's other
examples.
examples not only
So
just money wise.
50-50, I would think would breed inconsistency. So one thing you want to make sure. So I would liken it to a dysfunctional couple where one of the partners, and I'm not going to be biased here, but one of the partners in the relationship is abusive to the other. And with that abuse, so there's the abuse, and then there's the makeup phase and the honeymoon phase, and then we go right back down to the abuse again, right? So that is an area of inconsistency, right? So clearly there's no 50-50 at least, or sorry, there's no 100-100 coming from both people, right? So somebody's giving half of themselves and the abuse breaks out,
Yeah.
an issue, a problem. And then the forgiving, the I'm sorry, the other one's forgiving, and then there's a honeymoon phase. So that honeymoon phase is another inconsistent thing, right? So we're just like giving out random examples. You can give so many examples on this. But that honeymoon phase is inconsistent, right? Because it comes every so often. This is like a patterned event. But if every day it's like, I'm down, I'm up, I'm down, I'm up, like we don't have consistent days, that's a breeding ground for problems.
I really think 50-50 is a disaster in my opinion. But for anyone watching this and you got this far in the video and you ever experience a 50-50 relationship, or you're in a 50-50 relationship, or you know someone who's in a 50-50 relationship, comment down below and let us know what the result is and what
Why
like,
why does it work? Yeah, why does
and,
50-50
and maybe it
work?
works for them. Maybe it
Yeah.
works for them. Maybe there's something I'm missing. There's something I don't realize. There's something I don't know. So put it down below and tell me how would it work, and yeah, let me know because I'm curious to know.
Let us know.
I'm
we
yeah,
we
I'm
want
curious to know
to we want
because
to know.
I'm always about the 100 because I just can't. I'm just gonna give you. I'm in a relationship. I'm in a marriage. I'm giving my all. I'm not. It doesn't matter if it's money. It doesn't matter if it's physical, touch, romance, blah blah blah, whatever it is. I'm giving you my all. All right. So
And there are circumstances where somebody may not be able to give as much as the other, right? So, in that,
and that's okay though. That's okay.
and that is why we say 100,
Yeah.
100, because where one is weak, one
Yeah.
becomes strong, and where
Exactly.
one is strong, one becomes weak, and it could be a given day, a given moment, a given scenario, but it's 100, 100,
Yeah.
because if you, like he said, if you fall short in an area, the other one can take over, and he's not or she's not looking at you like,
Yeah.
well, I gave my 50, so where's your 50?
Exactly. Yeah.
So, and
So
that's in every situation. So if you get that 100, 100 part down, it's a guarantee. There's no, that's a guarantee. The relationship is going to last.
yeah, and I agree. I agree. You gotta go. You gotta go 100. You have to give 100, and this might not sound right, but like my wife, 100 may not be my 100. If that makes sense. But you're still giving your 100. So I don't know if I explained that right. I don't know if that sounds right, but I guess you guys could kind of get what I'm saying. You're just gonna give all of what you got, 100. So and I think with that, your relationship will last. Your relationship will last.
Okay. This is an area, I find foundational area that's very important. So daily efforts beat big gestures, right?
Yeah.
Like I said, staying consistent. So one thing I think is really important, and one area I'm going to be honest with you that we need to work on a little bit more, is praying together. We had a scenario some years ago that happened, and we'll share it at another time. I don't think this time is appropriate, but that kind of made me resistant to actually praying with my spouse, because I just felt like, oh my gosh, we were praying and then this happened and it's a disaster. So the enemy has a way of kind of infesting your mind and making you believe that if you do this, there's going to be problems. So don't do it, right? But that is an area that is an area I think we could work on a little bit more, just because, we're busy. We're very busy. We have a lot of children. And now we even have a grandchild that's kind of jumped into the mix. So we're busy. And even the one that has left the house and is now married herself, she needs us a lot too, still, right? So it's like we've inherited an in-law, we've another child's, a grandchild's, and like the in-law, so which is like another child, so we've inherited like another two children. So we have to learn to take time out for those things amongst all the other things that we're doing. So taking time out to even pray, even a quick prayer, is better than no prayer at all. I think that's really, really important. Listening. Listening. Nick gets me on this a lot of times because I tend to be the more, I'll use Nick's word, more passionate one. I'm the more passionate one, emotionally passionate one. So sometimes listening can be difficult, especially when you're very strong in your opinions on certain things. You
I
know?
mean, I think a lot of people. Well, I'm guilty. I'm just gonna speak for myself. I'm guilty of this sometimes too, right? Like, you know, you get in a conversation with somebody and they start talking, and for whatever reason, you're not you're not listening to try to understand what they're saying, just because you already formulate your thoughts of what you think the conversation is and where it's gonna go, and you can't wait to just get out what you need to get out, and you kind of miss the whole thing and what that person is trying to say. So that's the reason why I say listening is important,
Essential.
because one somebody could say a whole big blurb, and one thing at the end switch the whole conversation of what you think it would be. So you have to be careful and just listen in its entirety of what the person is saying before you formulate an answer or a suggestion or ask a question or whatever it might be. So that's why I think listening is important. And to what you were saying about praying together, I think faith is important, and the more activities that you could do with your spouse makes the unit a little bit more cohesive. And yeah, it's just the more you do together, it's this better better for the relationship and just getting to grow together. I think more. And you know what? And I think, and it's hard because we have busy lives, right? And this sometimes this world don't allow for you to stop and and just soak it in with your significant other, your spouse or whatever.
But you
So
kind of have to
we have
find the time
no
and
no no.
make it.
I know that.
Sorry.
What I'm saying is it's a busy life. Like, I'm working. If I'm working, you're working. I come home late. You come home late or whatever, and
And
you
we've
might
been
have
there.
you might have a rough day at work. You trying to shake that day off. You're miserable. You know you're supposed to have a bad day, miserable. You come in, hi, how you doing? Da da da. You don't get enough time. You don't get enough time to just appreciate each other because your life is so busy, work life. So that's why I also think, not to get off topic, but I also think work life balance is important for a relationship.
You didn't
So
have much of that when you were in the military. Your
that's
he yeah,
that's
your
that's
work
why
life balance was so
that's what I'm
off
saying.
key, and
That's
it was
that's the reason
we had
why
more difficulties then than we do now, for
that's the
sure.
reason why I'm talking from experience, guys. I'm talking, what I'm saying to you is what I've been through, and I understand what it is to have a work life balance, and how not having one could affect you negatively, real bad. So, and with that, that work life balance, if it's off more often than ever, it will allow you to make poor choices, and poor choices is never good. So it's important. It's very important. And honestly, to be honest, like, when I like back when I was in the military. And like when you were actually in the workforce working or whatever, I learned I learned I remember a couple times when you were just because we move and go to a different place or whatever. Obviously, you got to switch jobs. You're interviewing for a job, right? And I think you had two offers or whatever it might be, and I think one was a little bit more than the other, right? And so I was kind of I was like, why wouldn't you pick the one that's? Why are you waiting? Why? What are you thinking about? Why wouldn't you just jump on the one that's more? But but at that time, I'm just thinking about one thing. But obviously, you were ahead of that, and you're thinking about your work life balance. How, which one is more flexible? Which one is going to allow me to have more time at home? And once you said that, it kind of clicks, and I was like, because I'm in the military, it's just one speed, right? Go. There's no, like you said, there wasn't any work life balance. It's just one go. So when you said that, I was like, it still took me a little time to kind of, and and now that I'm out, it really, it makes sense. It makes a whole lot of sense. So that was one of the things that I kind of watched you and learned in that area, why that's important. So
Yeah, I think I was thinking more on a maternal level, and I'm always thinking on a maternal level. So that's why that would make sense. So you okay, so showing little bits of appreciation kind of strengthens the bond and so forth.
yeah,
Now, you mentioned we talked about a little bit about faith and marriage going hand in hand. So there's no questioning it. If you are following a framework that you have been given from before you entered even into existence, right? There's no failing. There's absolutely zero failing. The problem is it has to be a conscientious willingness, to do so, to say, hey, okay, I'm wrong. Hey, this could be better. Hey, I'm not doing it the right way. I'm doing it my way. So that is major, because anything that is centered under God is definitely going to be solid. Okay?
yeah,
There's no doubt about that. It's going to be grounded, it's going to be unified. There's no questioning that,
yeah.
right?
And it's weird because play. I've heard people, just people are speaking or whatever in their relationship or whatever, and you'd be surprised how many people are are together and still don't know each other like the way they should, right? So I think you should always want to know more about your significant other. You should always investing that time in knowing that person
Getting that
more
PhD.
and more. Yeah. So and I think every time I have this sit downs, I talk about this one time that I had that I went to this what is it again?
Oh, the retreat.
Yeah, I went to a retreat.
They
I'm
heard
sorry,
about
guys.
it.
It's a major part of my life, so it always comes up every time we sit down and have these talk at
This
some point.
this retreat was in Pennsylvania somewhere. We're
Yeah,
gonna have to
so
pull up this retreat, because this retreat obviously was
so
life changing
I'm
for
sorry,
Nick.
guys. I know you guys probably
They
saying,
still
"Oh,
have it. If you're
he's
in
gonna talk about
PA,
the retreat again next
yeah.
next sit down." But
If you're in PA in the Philadelphia area, this was a retreat that was run
but
by a church in that area.
but honestly, that was definitely a defining moment in my life. It was because I learned a lot, and it taught me to appreciate what I have, and yeah, it was just an eye opener, and sometimes I think we need that. We need, as men, we need we need a little reset, man. Sometimes you need a reset, right? So
But men sometimes are not willing
yeah,
to do the thing that creates the reset.
You have to.
that hits that button.
That's true. You have to want it. You have to want to be willing to change.
You
And I
have to
think that's a big part too.
come down off of that pedestal.
You have to be
Yeah.
willing to. You have to. All right. So, in order to change, you have to accept your flaws. And I think as men, a lot of men don't come from me, guys. Are not willing to accept
Accept
their
flaws.
flaws, right? And I think that's the beginning. Once you accept your flaws, then you can work on those flaws and get better as a person. But if you're not willing to accept that you're a liar or you're this or you're that, you will never change.
That is
You
true.
will never change because guess what? You're lying to yourself. And that's the worst thing to ever do. Lie to yourself. You will never change.
That is
So
true.
so and
Excuse me.
going to that retreat taught me that. It taught me a whole lot of things.
Disclosure. I still don't think when he went to the retreat, he was 100% cured of all the things that needed to be fixed. But obviously it lingered in his head for a while. So it did something.
Yes. It was
It's not an overnight fix.
because a lot of times when you find yourself in certain positions or situations, you you
Come back to the
you have to
foundational thing.
yeah you're gonna lean on what you know. Or, and that's not only for that, it's in whatever you do, right? You're gonna lean on what you know. So that's why it's important when you have kids to teach them the right way. So when they might not think it, but when they get out there in the real world and things happen, they will lean on what they know.
So I just want to reiterate, like, in all of what we've said so far, the biggest takeaway is that I don't care what Instagram tells you. I don't care what YouTube tells you. I don't care what TikTok tells you or
Any one of these social,
any one of these social media platforms.
yep,
What's the other one?
bunch of them.
Yeah. So I don't care what a lot of these platforms are telling you in the videos and what you're seeing and the flawlessness. Romance that's not it. Like romance, it's the way how the media portrays romance and social media, the world portrays romance. That is not it. Marriage is actually built on a foundation of serving each other.
Yep.
So the whole purpose is to serve one another. And if your serving falls short, just like you would with a business, if you have a business and you start serving your customers and you're giving them excellent service and they keep coming back. And then one day they start to come and there has been a collapse in the service that they are getting in comparison to before. There's going to be a problem. Your business is not going to last with degraded service. So we have to look at each other in the same way. If you came, because of course, the way you get your spouse initially is by being the best you that you can be, right? And the minute that you degrade that service, right, is a minute that things start to collapse. Mind you, things will change over time because kids and so forth. So the marriage is basically built on serving each other.
Yeah, obviously, and I think what we're trying to say is, just don't get complacent. Just continue to do the things you do. Continue to grow. Continue to learn each other. Continue to do exciting things, and I think that will prevail over everything else.
Okay, so I want to talk about what they can do because you guys didn't come to listen to nothing. You came to listen to solutions. So I think giving you guys some gems about what you guys can do right now. You guys are having trouble in your marriage. What can you do right now? And like we said, we're not perfect. So these are just solutions that we think work. They worked for us, and we think they could very well. I think it's a guarantee that they will actually work for you if you are committed. So, prioritizing growth. So, committing to learn together, whether it be books. I know this one is taboo, but we did it. Counseling sessions. Sometimes you just need counseling sessions. I know the church that we go to, he will say, well, are you listening to the services? Have you read some of the books that we've written? Because if you don't go to services, or you're not listening to the services, and you don't purchase the books, you're not reading the Bible, and you're not praying, then some of this is a waste of time, right? So those are some things that you need to be doing first.
And see, like, and when it comes to that, like I said earlier, I think you could do all of that, but if you're not willing and want to change, I don't think you could go to 20 million counseling. You could read 20 million
Yeah,
books.
but counseling,
You
so
could do
counseling is essential,
you
Nick.
could do no, I'm not saying it's not, but the person have to want it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah.
I don't I like
You go to a counseling session and you're a liar
it's
still.
yeah, it can't be okay. My wife wants to go to counseling, so I'm going.
So
I'm not
go.
in. You know what I mean? You have to want it, or the guy says I want to go to counseling, and the wife is like, oh well, I'm gonna go. I'm just gonna go because he wants me to go, right? Then you're not gonna get
There's
anything
no
out of it.
honesty.
There's
Yeah.
and you could read a million books. Oh, I guess I gotta read this book because my wife was reading a book and she want to go counseling, or I gotta. So you have to. I think you have to want the person have to want it for it to work, just like anything else. You have to put in the work. If you're not willing to put in the work, it's just not gonna work. So if you don't want it, I don't care what you do. I don't care if you go do a million counseling sessions. I don't care if you read a million books. It's just I don't think it will it will do well in the end for that person. So
One book for me that I thought was really, really good, that started my whole change in the way how I looked at marriage, was The Power of a Praying Wife. And I swear by this book because it's the first marriage book that I read that made me understand something that I couldn't understand. Like, I couldn't understand it before. So I was very, very young when I read this book, but I couldn't see, like, I had some concept of what I read, but I don't know, it just sparked something inside of me that made me have an understanding that, hey, you're a woman and God created you like this. He's a man and God created him like this. But the beauty in it is that the two pieces coming together, it's like two pieces of a heart coming together, makes a whole heart, and it makes everything function beautifully. But if one person is lacking, and usually the person that's willing to read the book and is like very desperate for the change is the initiator to help the other person come along. So everybody that knows me and that has ever had a relationship problem and they have told me about it, I always say, look, read this book before you get married. Read this book after you get married and refresh yourself with the book. I think I have a few different types of that book over there. They have it for your kids. She has one for your kids.
yeah.
She has one, for different issues, but that book gave me a different insight. Nick has never read the book, so he doesn't even know what's in the book, but I'm sure he's thankful for the book because the book it allowed me to be very patient with him in times when it was difficult for me to be patient. Internally, it was difficult. So I'm not saying just read any book. Be mindful of what you're reading. In the case of where we go to church, our leader was asking for us to read. We didn't get counseling at that particular place, but he just was saying in a general sermon that if you want to come for counseling sessions, you have to be doing things that show that you have some
See,
basis
and this is where, and
or base
just
format.
sitting here, and these sit downs or these podcast topics are, they're very therapeutic for me, right? And and just sitting here, like I always say to myself, like, people, you don't have to wait for an issue to happen to have counseling, right? I think that's where a lot of people have the wrong idea about counseling, right? It's not only for when something is wrong or you're
Wrong.
going through a difficult. You could always do counseling to better your relationship.
Yes,
Nothing.
especially if
You
you're
don't
just
have to.
starting
Yeah,
out.
yeah. You don't have to get counseling because your relationship is deteriorating, right? You could get counseling to see how you could better your relationship, even though your relationship is going strong. So, um, I just think the stigma in counseling is, oh, your relationship is going down. You're going to counseling. When you hear counseling, and you automatically think, oh, yep, they're having major
Major
issues.
issues.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
And it may
it,
not even be issues between you too.
so I don't
It
think.
could be external issues that you're trying to figure out,
Yeah.
right?
So
So,
I just think we have to kind of retune our brains, and, like, it doesn't
counsel is good.
when you
Even the Bible tells us that we
yeah
should seek counsel
when
on
you
many things.
yeah, so you don't have to it's okay. I think it's okay to sit down, and if you desire whatever, you want to work your relationship to get a bigger, better, or whatever, and speak to somebody. But you also got to be mindful of who you're talking to, right? And you have to be able to discern what's right for you and your relationship.
Don't
So
depend on counseling. Use it
so
as a tool to
yeah.
succeed, but not
So
a dependency.
so I just think that people should not hear counseling and automatically think that somebody's relationship is deteriorating,
Or
or
they need somebody to tell them because counseling, they
yeah.
don't tell you, okay,
So
so you have to do this, you have to do that. I think counseling is a way to how do I say it? It's a way to detect what the real issues are.
yeah.
And if you can manage to do that on your own, then you probably, I don't think we're at a point now where we even need counseling.
No,
Like,
because, like
we've
honestly,
found the tools that we need to
like,
detect what we need.
and for the most part, man, a lot of counseling that I see. Well, obviously they got different type of counseling, but just on a relationship aspect wise, right? A whole counseling session is, in my opinion,
Mediation,
is
like,
is getting
is it like a
is
mediation?
is is getting both partner to work together cohesively, and everything is in activities together, right? So it's just getting both person to communicate without an argument or whatever, and just working
Like a
together.
mediator.
Yeah, just working together. So, and we talked about that earlier. Like, the more we, like, where faith is present, right? And praying together and doing more things together as a couple will strengthen that relationship. But so often our busy lifestyle kind of hinder that type of thing. So we have to go. It goes back to work life balance. You got to balance out what you're doing at home, and not to get off topic, but I think, in my opinion, a lot of relationship deteriorates because of that. Because of, like, you have this guy, he's trying to get he's trying to get his career going, and the woman trying to get her career going, and he's frustrated with his career, and she's frustrated with her career, and and it clashes in the middle, and then next thing you know, you have a thing they call growing apart, because you're over here
They're not
focusing all the
prioritizing
way,
growth.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you didn't get enough time to come together to do things together, to appreciate each other. So that's what happens. So I mean, it's 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 things like those, and I think what I find that that's really really helped us in our relationship is and it's little gestures,
Being
little
intention,
things.
being
Yeah, little
intentional,
things like
showing
like
love through daily
so I'm at work. So
words.
I'm at work, and I'll
Yeah,
call my wife, and I tell her I
actions.
love you so
Yeah,
much. You know what I mean? It may not sound like anything crazy to people,
surprising them.
but I think it
Yeah,
means a lot, right?
yeah.
So little things like that. And again, I've heard of relationships where you know I'm gonna speak. I'm gonna say the guys, they just don't tell their spouse they
You're
love them,
beautiful. I
or
love you. Yeah.
they don't do that. Like they'll it's more like, I don't need to tell you that. I show you that every day. Like people don't like that's
Yeah.
something I don't like that.
Men, they want to hear
No,
it.
I don't like
It
that.
makes a big
I don't
difference.
like that. I really don't like that. You know what I mean? If somebody's telling you you don't, I don't think you love me, or whatever the case may be, you don't tell me you love me or whatever, why are you going to do something else? If the person is requesting for you to tell them that you love them,
Hmm.
I think that's what you need to do. You don't need to say, "Oh, I'll show you I love you," or "I buy you $1 million things," or "I do this," or that. Obviously, that doesn't matter.
Hmm.
They want to hear that from you.
Hmm.
So I
Can I
think
tell
that's
you
what
what makes my day sometimes?
I think
When
that's
like
what.
I'm losing my mind because I'm homeschooling
Yeah.
and sometimes it's just not going right. And or I have a million other things going on. I don't feel well. I got to leave to this appointment, that appointment. I got to go run this, that. And then sometimes I'll just be frustrated and I'll call to tell you something or to remind you of something. And I'm like on 100. And then you'll answer the phone. And it's like you're just so happy to hear my voice. So it's like, and then I'll be like, oh my gosh, like, you know what I mean? So, and then sometimes he'll call me and then he will just like, he'll, he'll, even if he can't get me, because I know it's got to be frustrating because I'm usually running around without my phone. He's calling one of the kids, he's calling on the Alexa, he's trying to get a hold of me, trying to get me to call him back. But then when I speak to him, he just says something so nice to me. So that helps me a lot, even though I might be on 100 that day. But it does, it takes, like, I'm like, wow, like this is so
And I
good.
think and but this is the thing though, already. Like
What did you just call me on the
I don't
on the podcast?
I don't this
Nadine. It's Nadine on
yeah.
the podcast. Yeah.
So I mean so put it like this. So in whatever like I'm use sport for an example, right? Whatever sport you do to be elite, to be an elite in that sport, you have to put in the time. You got to practice, right? A lot of practicing, right? So I think like before, like just growing up or whatever, you know what I mean. I never heard love a lot, you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, just saying it and just continuously saying it, obviously meaning it, saying it, it becomes easier. You know what I mean? It becomes easier for me to say it, and I think is because I kind of trained myself and work on it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously I want my kids to understand that it's okay to tell your brother you love him. It's okay to tell somebody you love him. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and obviously this is a different time, and we're growing up in a different. My kids are growing up in a different time,
Mm-hmm.
so it's not to bash my time growing up, but it was just a different time. People, I guess, people didn't. It wasn't like that
Mm-hmm.
then, but but yeah, I think if that makes sense, I think I just rambled on, but yeah.
So listening more than you speak, practicing active listening because it can help you to really unravel what your spouse or partner could need. We already talked about prayer. So even if it's like a 2-minute prayer, if you're in a rush before bed, that's a good time to pray with each other. Even sometimes Nick will wake up in the morning and he will be saying something as simple as, "Thank you, God. Like, I'm
Yeah.
so thankful
Of
for
course.
my wife. I'm so thankful for my children. I'm so thankful for the things." So even if it's just giving, a little bit of praise and worship, with your spouse in that moment, so that can constitute prayer. You don't have to be religious with prayer, and you don't have to pray necessarily for 5 hours every day to be the perfect prayer warrior in your marriage. So just even sometimes the little moments of prayer. Continue to date your spouse. Plan lots of time to get, or as much time as you can. I
Yeah.
don't want to say lots, but even tonight, I honestly, I wasn't feeling very well. And I had to push through because I wanted to get this podcast done. So I did something I don't normally do. I popped a Tylenol and I was like, I'm going to get this done. And so I'm here and I'm doing it, but we were going to run out. We still might do it and do a little moment with each other just because sometimes to debrief is good. And yeah, so even in busy seasons, find a little bit of time.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you have to put the kids to bed early and do a quick little date night, which we've done before, and like a dinner date night. We've done it even on the channel before where we did a hot pot because
Yeah.
we like hot pots. We did a little hot pot date night, and that season is coming up where a lot of couples are going to be spending time together. It should not just be like for times like Valentine's Day. It should be all the time. Give her roses all the time. Do a date night all the time. Dress up and go out
Yeah.
all the time. You're 365 days a year. You can find at least 12 out of those 365 days to do something,
Yeah. And I,
right?
and I, and I just and I think the more you show, the more one shows appreciation for their spouse, I think your relationship strengthens and will go a long way. You just, I mean, and it doesn't matter. I mean, they don't have to. It could be from the smallest thing, like just picking something up for you off the floor or whatever. Just showing that appreciation, I think goes a long way. So, and I think, you know, people, once you implement that in your relationship, is you know what I want to say? A lot of relationship there it's too hardened, man. Like, like people don't laugh anymore. It's just everything's so serious because like I said, I mean, and that's, I mean, it's no, sometimes it's no fault of theirs. It's just the work. You just got to keep on. You got to. You're in that mode where you're just work, 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 right? And so
Work and pay bills.
work and pay bills hardens you, right? So there's no more laughter in the relationship. There's no more. I can't laugh when I'm worrying about how I'm gonna pay this bill, right?
It's hard.
It's hard. So yeah, I just think once we get back to that, once we interject some of that in the relationship, I think it will stand a better chance of surviving.
Question for you guys. What is one thing in your relationship that you think helps to keep your relationship strong? So what's one thing that you guys do that helps to keep your relationship strong, because we can all learn from each other.
Yeah.
And it might be something that we could even adapt for ourselves. So as we're sharing. Okay, so marriage is not going to be perfect. It it's about being present. So as long as you're present, you don't have to worry about being perfect. The perfection in marriage is actually the imperfection. I always say, I feel like I'm very goofy sometimes and silly. And believe it or not, as staunch as Nick comes off, sometimes he is very goofy and very silly sometimes. I wish you guys could see more of that from him. But that is a part of what allows us to work. Choosing your spouse every single day is a major, major deal. Prioritizing selflessness instead of selfishness. So think about the things that would make you selfish. Okay. Ladies, complaining about little things like, I don't know, there's things sometimes I feel like God just tells me, just leave it alone and fix it.
No, and
Leave it alone and fix it, because
and
it takes a
honestly,
second for me to fix it and 5
and
seconds for me to complain about it.
but this is the thing though. Like, I mean, obviously, all of these things we're talking about they're not easy things to do, people. They're not. Trust me, believe me.
Selflessness.
It's not easy, right? But these are things that will improve your relationship, and I believe will make your relationship stronger. Obviously, my relationship is not a perfect relationship, but every day I strive for that. I strive for perfection in my relationship. I want my relationship to be better, So and that's where the work comes in. I'm always working. We're always working on
It's like blooming flowers
it.
when you hit a point of making
But
something better.
but obviously, you get the bumps in the road, the arguments, the this, the that, whatever, But as long as you could, you know how to mitigate those and try to keep them to a smaller amount than before. That means you're improving. I think it will be okay. It'll be all right. It's okay. So put like you said perfectly, right? Marriage is the perfection in marriage is the imperfection, right? So obviously, you know, you're gonna argue. It's okay to disagree at times, you know, because I mean, nobody, nobody don't want, no one wants a yes man or a yes woman. I mean, I need to be able to bounce ideas off you and feel confident enough that you're gonna make
Did I
a
have a
great
brain?
decision. You know what I mean? Like for real, like honestly, right? Like I want to be able to ask you a question and know that you're gonna give me a solid answer, and you're not just agreeing with what I'm saying. You know, so
And I
so
want the same.
yes.
I want that even more than you.
So I
I
mean,
definitely don't want a yes man.
so I think it's okay. It's okay to I might ask a question and the answer that I'm getting, I might not like it, but it's the right answer, right? But if I'm just relying on just me, I might have made a poor choice. So I mean, it's and me not hearing what I want to hear could cause some type of tension, and then I might get upset and blah blah blah. So, but that's the disagreement. That's right for me.
Looks like we're running low
So
on battery time.
so yeah.
But okay, so I just as we're ending up tonight, I just want to say, please go ahead and like the video if you have not liked the video already, because that definitely helps us in the algorithm. It gives us an idea of how we're performing as far as the topic is concerned. This is very new for us, so we're still kind of growing these ideas on this channel for Friday night sit downs, and it's something that we want to explore further. If you are interested in other topics, our prime videos or our primary videos on the channel are lifestyle vlogs, home decor, lots of shopping, and family faith and fun. If you guys are interested in that, go ahead and subscribe as well. But we hope to bring you these Friday night sit downs. Hopefully, most of them will be out somewhere in the weekend. Hopefully tonight, if I get some cooperation in my rendering on my computer. The next thing I'd like for you to do, if you could kindly do this for us after you subscribe and like the video, go ahead and comment below some of the things we've already asked you to comment about. And we want to know what the biggest lesson in your marriage has actually been. And go ahead if you know anybody that might benefit from this topic or any of the topic in our Friday night sit downs. We are not doing this for ourselves because, of course, we could just sit and do some pillow talk and keep it amongst ourselves. The reason why we're doing this is because we feel like some of these topics could benefit somebody else. So go ahead and share the episodes with other people that you think might benefit from these episodes.
Yeah. With that, I have absolutely nothing else to say.
Nothing else to say. If you guys have any ideas, cool topics, things you want us to talk about, we will be more than happy to explore those ideas. So leave them in the comment section down below. And of course, we love and appreciate you guys. We love doing these sit downs. They can be difficult because we try to do them at night and we are both exhausted.
Super tired.
But we love, yeah, we're loving the fact that we get sit with you guys and converse in the comment section. So you guys have a beautiful rest of your weekend. And we want you guys to stay safe. We love you. Keep working on those marriages. And we will see you guys next time.
Ciao.
Bye.
Ciao.